Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ, Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Broadcasting live from Shanghai, China, using the hotspot on my cell phone to bring this show to you guys. So it might be a short show. We say that it always goes an hour, but the commies are keeping their eyes on me. So hopefully,
I don't keep calling them the commies. That's not going to do well for you.
I like to needle them, you know. I like to treat communist regimes the way I treat you. Just gentle little digs constantly. See if I can poke the bear. See if I can poke the panda bear. In this case, apologies for no show last week. It was 100% on me. Again, Wi-Fi issues in Chicago. It'll never happen again. So help me God. We love you guys. Dude, 17 days away.
It's
Raiders opening
right
day.
There. 2 weeks and a snort and a fart. That's how long we are away.
Another preseason game, couple cuts, couple of layers of cuts, weekend off, and we are
that dead week. That dead week is going to be active. That dead week is going to be extreme. Oh yes, there's a lot of newness on this team, and some things are working and some things are not working. And yeah, I can see us moving around some pieces for sure.
Cramming the night before the exam. Again, I keep saying I think Spytek is building this team to just kind of fundamentally be sound, get younger, be smart with the cap this season, and then next season go nuts because we still have the sixth most cap space in football, something like that. And if that changes over the weekend, then I'll change my analysis. Like if they're like, all right, we were just kind of waiting for the right time to strike. We think we can get deals later on in the season. Then I'll change my thought process if the facts change. But as of right now, it feels like, all right, we're just gonna get younger, get better, install a new offense, bunch of new faces. Let's just figure out what we got this season, and then fucking chips in, boop, 2026, 2027.
Yeah, I think that they're willing to be patient with the young players as long as they show that they can perform at a specific level, right? With the development comes more stuff that they add on to more consistency, maybe a little bit more dynamic play. But I don't think it's going to be a thing where they're going to just wait on a guy to see if he can get good. So I can see us going after some maybe big name guys who aren't going to be as expensive because of where they are in the schedule of the NFL when they're available. And I think I can see us getting a couple of pieces in the secondary. I could see us maybe adding something in the receiving core if things don't pan out properly. Yeah, I could definitely see us doing some stuff, especially look, last season, every single player from our secondary that started the season last season as a starter is gone. Jack Jones, Ja'Corian Bennett, Nate Hobbs, Marcus Epps, Trevon Merrick. But for good reason. The secondary was the lowest ranked secondary per PFF. Now, again, what do I say about PFF? Take it with a grain of salt unless it's really good or really bad, right? You're not going to.
It's a piece of the puzzle. Don't live and die by the number. It's just like a nice, extra thing to add.
Yes, but here's the thing: if they're the absolute worst, it's not like they were okay. They just graded out bad. No, they were really bad. They were the lowest graded secondary since I think 2021. So there's a reason why every single player from that starting secondary last season is gone because they played poorly. Okay. So
and they also weren't Pete Carroll-y, right? They weren't tall, super fast, very super physical, right? They were bad and also not Carroll-y. Is that a term we're going to start using now?
You can be maybe one or the other, you know what? He's not a Pete Carroll type of guy, but he's pretty good. That's fine. But you can't be neither. You know what I'm saying? You can be spotty, but you have good traits. Okay, we can see if we can work with you. But if you're neither, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for me.
You can't be fat and no personality. You got to either be easy on the eyes or fun to hang out with. Can't be.
Pretty in the eyes and thick in the thighs.
Yeah, man. That week before the season feels like an exciting bye week. You know, all the preseasons are done, the roster's set, we're getting ready for the next game. Not technically a game that weekend, but that's when you start reloading shit. So it's like feels like the first bye week. Well, one of the big moves that may happen is Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, Cincinnati Bengals, has had 17.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons. I didn't even realize that until like he's like the free agency talk happened. Like it's weird how quietly you can get 17.5 sacks in this league, but that's what happened. And obviously, like we need defensive help at every layer, and another guy alongside Maxx Crosby just kind of makes everybody drool. And according to Hondo Carpenter, the Raiders are not only in the running for his services, but the front runners. This is Hondo Carpenter from the SI. In a conversation with an NFL executive on Tuesday, I was informed, quote, I have no doubt the Raiders are the front runners. Tom Brady and Mark Davis want to win now, and John Spytek has no fear when it comes to making bold moves. The kid, Hendrickson, is 30. The move is the mentality of Pete Carroll. He's not afraid of anything that could improve the team. Now, how do we put this delicately? Fuck it, we're not very delicate. With Hondo Carpenter, it always starts with, do you believe him? That's always the first thing that goes through my mind. Soto, do you believe this report?
Well, let me qualify that.
Okay.
With Hondo Carpenter, you have to first ask yourself, how can a question be worded where he gets the answer that he wants?
Mm-hmm.
Because listening to every single press conference and media scrum and all that stuff, he asks very funneled questions. He'll talk about a subject, then a player, then a specific thing. So when he gets the answer, he can word it any way he wants, and he'll get the answer that he's looking for, right? So in this case, he can say, hey, you know, there's guys on the roster like Tyree Wilson, like Malcolm Kuntz. If they want a guy like that's got some youth still and that he's been productive in the league, or he's got some time in the league or whatever, and so a body that they can play out on the end and they can get picks, they have all their picks. Yeah, man, they seem like it's a pretty good, you know, chance that they might be in the front. Like he can word it to kind of maneuver, and that's great. You know, it's today's journalism, right? You have the story, now let me get the pieces afterwards, right? So would I be shocked if this happened? No, because the pieces do line up if you look at them from a certain way. I just don't think I don't believe this happened the way that it's written or the way that it's led you to believe.
Because I'll be honest, this quote from this anonymous NFL executive sounds exactly like how Hondo Carpenter talks.
I think I've heard him say exactly those words.
Like literally that words. It's like Pete Carroll's not afraid of anything that could improve the team.
Bold.
Like that sounds like that sounds like the preface to a Hondo Carpenter question. Like he'll be at a Pete Carroll presser and be like, Pete, you've never been afraid of anything that could improve the team. What do you think of this player? Right? Like it sounds literally like Hondo Carpenter.
Let me know if this sounds familiar. Well, we know John Spytek, where he came from, is never afraid to make bold moves, you know. And Tom Brady and Mark Davis, they want to win right now. And, you know, Pete Carroll, he has that mentality, man. He's compete, let's win. He's not afraid to do anything he can to improve the roster. So with all that being said, do you think the Raiders are the front runners? All the exec or all the person he talked to had to say is, yeah, that sounds about right. And he can run with that.
Dude, so Hondo Carpenter would be the greatest wingman.
Hondo Carpenter will get you pussy. He will get you.
So you have a 9-inch dong and you're a multimillionaire. Would you say that you accept blowjobs at a 10 out of 10 rate?
Don't forget the hammerhead. Don't forget the hammerhead. No, dude, seriously, this guy, he puts out a lot of content, okay? And I understand putting out content every single day. I understand that it's a daunting task. But when you do it in a funky way for so long, it just becomes completely transparent. And you and I aren't like these freaking what is it, forensic accountants, where we're gonna just dig through a bunch of stuff and find stuff. It's pretty topical. It's pretty on the surface.
So I'll say this. Like this, and again, we're not denying that the Raiders could potentially be front runners for Trey Hendrickson. Like that's a very real possibility. We have the cap space.
Consider the
we get
source.
someone right. It's just the source, right? So this is what I always say. Here's a general rule for all you guys about media. I've been working in media over 20 years. Here's a general rule. If a report is true, there's always follow-ups to it. Other journalists will look at that report and follow up, right? So if this report's true, Hondo talked to an NFL executive somewhere, and this is what that NFL executive believes. Other reporters are now going to do the similar thing. They're going to find other people, and they're going to take this story as like, hey, there's this report. Yes, I also think that's the case. Trey Hendrickson's agent, he wants something leaked out, blah, 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 blah. That if this story just dies, like all of Hondo Carpenter's stories, not all, that's unfair. But like if this story just kind of like doesn't go anywhere, there's no follow-up.
Like many.
Schefter or whoever like doesn't make any calls and doesn't have like, okay, I can confirm this, or this is a follow-up. Like if nothing happens from this report, probably bullshit. That's just a kind of a very, very simple way for all you guys to kind of like look at reports and kind of gauge whether it's bullshit or true. But it also gets, I don't want to say worse is the term, but it gets even a little bit more, makes me kind of think it's maybe not true. This line. When I inquired about the potential cost of acquiring Hendrickson, the executive said, quote, from what I hear, the Bengals are seeking either multiple picks or a combination of a pick and a player. They aren't particularly focused on one side of the ball, but their offense is exceptional. Their defense is shit. I would speculate that a player and a third-round pick would be sufficient to land him. No fucking way a player and a third-round pick is going to land Trey Hendrickson. Unless that player's Maxx Crosby, right? Like, there's no way, there's not a single player on the Raiders roster that we would separate with, plus third-round pick, that would get us Trey Hendrickson. Not a chance.
It would have to be a second. I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. Well, yeah, I'm sure they'll ask for that. But when push comes to shove and Hendrickson starts missing games, yeah, you're going to have to move the needle somehow. And I don't know that the Bengals are going to want to make an exception for a 30-year-old player that they think is on the downswing of his career. And because, look, the Bengals really don't guarantee anything past the bonus. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. Now, they made an exception for exceptional players who are on their second contract. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So they made an exception for those guys, but normally they don't guarantee anything past the bonus. So that's the big deal right now. They wanted to sign him for, what was it, 3 years? It was like $40 million a year or something like that. But they only wanted to guarantee the bonus, which is the first year, and the other 2 years are just funny money. And if I was Hendrickson, I wouldn't want that deal either. So that's the problem that we're running into right now. From the Bengals' perspective, is they're not going to go past a certain point. But would they take a Malcolm Kuntz and a second? Would they take a Tyree Wilson and a second? Possibly. I'm not saying yes or I'm not saying no, but it's possible.
I would be doing backflips in the hallway if a second and Tyree gets us Trey Hendricks. Like I could not. I would.
It would have to be more. It would have to be more sprinkled on the end because of Tyree's track record. But also, you see Malcolm Kuntz has an injury history, so they're not the cleanest of guys. But they're the only two on the defensive line that are really going to garner us any type of. Well, really, what he's looking for, what the Bengals are looking for. Look, Trey Hendrickson, this guy is elite. He's an elite pass rusher. People don't know this, but he is. The Bengals had 34 sacks as a team last year. He had 17 and a half by himself. So it's not like he had a running mate on the other side or this dominant defensive line and he just ran into a bunch of sacks. This is basically all him working to get those 17 and a half sacks. So this guy, if you put him across from a guy who's somewhat competent, he's going to do really well. You put him across from a guy like a Maxx Crosby, and it's going to be dangerous. So, again, would I be shocked if this trade happened? No, I wouldn't be shocked because the pieces line up. It all depends on, again, what the compensation is going to be.
Yeah, I think, again, Hondo Carpenter's report, I think we're over that part of this conversation. It's like, take it with a grain of salt. Now let's just live in the real world of Raiders and Trey Hendrickson. Is that possible? What's that look like? Possible? Absolutely. What's it look like? I think Kuntz in a first would be a smashing deal for us. I don't think we could get away with anything less. I love your idea. Like, that'd be amazing. I just don't see it. I think there's other teams that would. I think there's all it takes is one team, right? All it takes is one team that's like 2 firsts. Here you go, right? Like, it just takes one team that thinks they're knocking on the door of a championship. They just need 17 sacks to like put them over the edge, right? I say go for it. I would make that offer this second if I'm Spytek. Spytek's not doing his job if he's not kicking the tires on with the Bengals and at least following up and seeing what can happen. We got the cap space. We got the draft capital. He's, again, 30, but young enough where I think 3 years of prime left is very believable. I think that's like certainly, I don't think that's optimistic to think he's got 3 years of being pretty close to his prime. And that's kind of how this window is built, right? Pete Carroll's probably gonna be around 3. It kind of seems like that's where this team's headed. So the other thing about Trey Hendrickson, though, that no one's really talking about, like, unbelievable to have back-to-back 17 and a half weeks sack seasons. Like, that's bonkers consistency. You know how many solo tackles he had last season? 33. he's like a poor a rich man. He's a rich man's unique Ngakoue. It's like, I'll get you double-digit sacks. Like, I will get you those sacks and nothing else. I will get in the quarterback's face, and that's all I'm really going to do. But again, that much quarterback pressure, it's still worth it. Like, you make that deal. But yeah, it's not like like people are trying to compare to Khalil Mack. It's like, no, not even. He's not even kind of like that. Not even remotely like that. And that's why I think he'll be cheaper than getting a top 5 defensive end that does everything like a Maxx Crosby. Like, that's 2 firsts plus, only because Hendrickson is exclusively a pass rush guy. I think, can we get away with like a first and another good player? Yeah,
I still think a second can get it done. When push comes to shove, nuts. When push comes to shove, and the Bengals, the Bengals get in positions where they are because of their ownership, and their ownership has these weird rules that really nobody else in the NFL does. They wanted to add this weird language into contracts. That's why Shamar Stewart didn't sign till recently. Shamar Turner? Sorry. It's just they try to do things their own way to save a buck, to pinch a penny, and it ends up screwing them in the end. And I mean, the Bengals aren't going to get any money from Hendrickson being fined for not showing up to games. And a lot of people, I've been just listening today, a lot of people were saying that, yeah, they wouldn't doubt it if Hendrickson was the guy who just said, screw it, I'm not going to come in. And
if it weren't for Jerry Jones, the Cincinnati Bengals would be getting all the headlines of like just how
like terrible ownership.
Yeah, like, thank God Jerry Jones gets all the spotlight for bad ownership, or at least they're a hard-nosed negotiators. They do not budge. They rarely move from their initial offer. They may change a little wording here and there, but was that like, you could be hard-nosed, but like they wait. And they wait and they wait, and it costs them. Either it costs them because they have to pay more because the league paid 3 other players in that position and now the cost has gone up, or it costs them to, like the example you just said, where now Hendrickson, if he sits, they don't fine him, they don't get anything out of him. Like, you could be hard-nosed, right? That's okay. But they're like stubbornly patient, and it fucks them. and it doesn't help.
Here's the perspective that I think we all need to take when it comes to this scenario here. They paid a lot of money, right? They paid a lot of money for their quarterback and their 2 receivers. Okay, a ton of money just this offseason. They paid a lot of money to these guys. They need to have a full complement of players on the field. And their defense is bad enough. Without Trey Hendrickson, it's going to be god-awful. Not even the Bengals can outscore teams at the clip they need to outscore them consistently enough in order to make any type of headway anywhere in the NFL. They need to have somebody there who's serviceable, who's just not a guy that was going to be a backup and he just got thrusted into the limelight to be a starter because Hendrickson isn't there. They need somebody of some substance on that line, and probably more than that. So from that perspective, I can see them saying, look, he's not going to come back. He's willing to eat it. He's not going to come back. Let's get what we can for him and build this defense up because we already have our pieces on offense signed.
Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. Is that the best defensive end combination in NFL history?
I don't know, man. Those Bears had some pretty good.
Mean Joe, who's on the other side of Mean Joe Green in the Steelers? What the fuck was his name?
Was it
God damn it. Greenwood. Because it was Green and Greenwood. That was pretty brutal too. But it'd be the best defensive end combo in the NFL by far. Right now,
yeah.
Sure. That would be. It wouldn't be it would be realistic for Henderson to give like 22 sacks if you're trying to defend Max and Trey at the same time. God,
yeah. Dude. I mean,
I don't want to get excited, but I'm excited. Just that the possibility. I'm ready to be hurt again. That's what I'm trying to say. So Ashton Jeanty, much better second preseason game, played more than 3 snaps, didn't get hit in the backfield. And then, of course, we all saw the truck stick that just got everybody hot and bothered. Let's see. Can I play it? We'll see. Boom! Boom! Oh, get off me. Oh. That was everywhere for like 3 days. Like my feed was 87% Jeanty trucking a dude. So sweet. So I don't this is a nice problem to have. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. But can he run like that moving forward? Or because he's a 6th overall pick, we need him in the run game. We need longevity out of him. Does he need to change his running style based on him being now in the NFL, going against grown-ass men, the status of being a 6th round pick to and I keep bringing up Adam Hill, but it pains me how right he is. It's like, if you're going to invest that high of a pick in a running back, he needs to be top 3 for 7 years to validate that pick, right? Does Ashton have to change his running style now?
No, I don't think he does. He actually addressed this in his press conference. He said that he needs to be more mindful of who's coming to hit him. When he's going against a linebacker, like when he got that shoulder stinger, yeah, maybe I'll make a move on that guy. On the DBs, like the safety he ran over, okay, yeah, I can run over these guys. I can be physical with these guys. The bigger guys, yeah, I got to try to finesse these guys. So he understands. He's got a little bit a little too into his own shit, I want to run everyone over. Look, to be fair, only one guy lost their feet when he hit that linebacker, and it wasn't him. Yeah. So he technically still won that one, but yes, he is correct in his assessment where he probably should have tried to use his agility to get out of the way and juke him instead of running him over. The DB, that was a funnel shot, and that was just that was going to happen. So
I think there's a little bit of look, I'm a rookie, I'm trying to make my name. Look what I'm capable of. Young, dumb, and full of cum, which, again, not a bad quality to have in a bruising running back. So, I'm not overly concerned that this is a mentality that's going to stick around forever. But I'm with you. You look at like Frank Gore, right? Played 20 years in the NFL. He was capable of hits like that, but he was pretty smart about not doing it. It's so funny. Frank Gore has one of the worst Wonderlic scores of all time, but he was a brilliant running back in knowing how to keep longevity. It's like idiots, like a genius here, idiot there. You just like, it's funny how some people are wired that way.
It just, you just got to be football smart, you know. Yeah. And he, you know, they may not be able to do logic problems right, but they know what works on the football field.
Fourth and short, games on the line. You're like, okay, I can sacrifice a little bit of my vertebrae because this is an important run. Preseason game, maybe not. Maybe that's not where you use like my a buddy of mine's cousin is a like a not a chiropractor, like a spinal scientist, and his like mentality is like when he deals with athletes, he's like, look, your body like a GI Joe's arms. Right? How it's rubber bands. You get so many rotations and then the rubber band wears down, and then it's gone. Right? Don't use your GI Joe arms unless it's the thing you're getting paid to do. Right? You're in the game, short yardage situation, game's on the line. It's like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my body because that's what I'm paid to do. Other elements, you save it a little bit.
Yeah, Jeanty needed a win, though. He definitely needed a win. I mean, I think even for his confidence. Yeah. I don't think it was right for him to only get 3 touches the first game. Let him touch the ball a little bit more. Get him out in a different type, like swing him out, throw him the ball, something. Let him get some taste of a victory, of some success. And I think that was kind of in his back of his mind where he's like, okay, well, I need to show myself and I need to show everyone else that, yeah, I'm worth the pick where I was selected. I think that was in play a little bit too. I think giving him that success that he had in the second game, 7 touches, thing was pretty good. Give him around 7 to 10 touches, you know, when the games don't count. Just get him a little bit of a rhythm. And I mean, look, his last 2 runs are like his best runs. He had the touchdown run, and you know he had or 2 of his last 3 runs were his best runs. So let him get used to the speed of the game. Let him get used to the contact. Get him out there for a little bit. If he gets hurt, it is what it is, man. You're not wearing him down with 20 touches in a preseason game, but you give him 3. It's like, come on, man, let him go out there and let him, you know, get a little lather going,
get lubed up a little bit. And if I'm Pete Carroll, I mean, this is where like really like veteran coaching needs to come into play, because you never, ever want to even remotely put in the mind of any of your players, let alone a running back, to like take your foot off the gas. Like you never, ever want that mentality, even kind of like you always want them to be like 100% fully competitive, whatever it takes to win. But you also need to put it in their mind about being smart, right? It's like, hey, instead of turning inside and making contact, you could step out of bounds here and get the exact same amount of yardage. Instead of, you know, how about you take this angle and you avoid this tackle as opposed to trying to run this guy over, you know? So it's hopefully Pete Carroll, you know, with his kind of experience and, you know, because we have a Pete Carroll now, not a Josh McDaniels or some shithead, I think he's in better hands, because this does take like pretty veteran coaching to be able to tell a player, I still want you to go 1,000,000 miles an hour, 1,000% in everything, whatever it takes to win. However, here's how we can be smart and still get the same results.
Yeah, that seems to be the result of that talk. Was Jeanty's press conference. He identified, yeah, maybe if it's a bigger guy, I need to try to juke him, and if it's a smaller guy, I can try to run him over. But yeah, that whole be smart thing is it's good advice. I mean, Archie Manning, every interaction, did you hear this? Every interaction that he has with Arch Manning, he ends it the same way: get down or get out of bounds.
Yeah.
Every text, every phone call, everything. Get down or get out of bounds. Don't take the hits, because Archie took a ton, and that's what shortened Peyton's career too, his neck injury. So get down or get out of bounds. That's how he ends everything. So learn from the guys who've been through it.
So reasons for optimism this season. You've made the same point over and over again, and it couldn't be more true. Say it again about close games and all this shit from last season?
So we had 13 losses. On those 13 losses, 8 of those, well, actually, technically 7 of them were one-score games heading into the fourth quarter. An 8th was a very, very low-scoring game, which was still anybody's game. It was 12-3 against the Falcons, I believe. So we were in 8 games, like realistically, right in the hunt going into the fourth quarter. And we lost all 8 of those. So if you take a look at it from this perspective, what wins in close games? No mistakes, good coaching, good clock management, right? Okay. We had a lot of mistakes from quarterbacks. We had terrible clock management, and our coaching wasn't very good. Let's take a look at that. We went from probably one of the worst, and worst, I mean it in this because I love Antonio Pierce. I was on board with him hired and all that stuff. But as far as just his ability to manage a game and also his experience level, he was probably one of the worst in the NFL. Okay. We go from that to probably one of the best in the NFL as far as knowledge, clock management, game management, all that stuff, strategy, one of the best. So we go from one end to the other. All right. Just that could have gotten us a win or 2, maybe. All right. You go from the mishmash of quarterbacks that we had last season to Geno Smith. Say what you want about Geno Smith. If you say a negative thing about him, you're probably wrong. People who dig deep into Geno Smith are like, damn, he's pretty good. With all the stuff going on wrong with what happened last season in Seattle, he lost a playoff berth by a tiebreaker. They still won 10 games. Okay? So there's that. The most important position on the field, we got significantly better. So there's 2 things that are very important that are much better now. We probably had one of, if not the worst offensive coordinator in Getsy to start the season. And then we had the law office of Turner and Turner, who were just kind of trying to put the pieces together. We go from that to Chip Kelly, who is probably one of the better play callers and better schemers as far as putting up an offensive game plan in the NFL. So we're going from 3, you're probably 3 most important pieces to a team: your head coach, your quarterback, and your offensive coordinator. We went from one of the worst in the NFL to one of the best in one season. All right. On top of that, you had the worst running attack in the NFL. I don't think any of the running backs that we had last season were starting running backs. They haven't started before, and they're not going to start going forward either. We got Ashton Jeanty, who looks to be the real deal. That's another massive upgrade. And our secondary can't be any worse than they were last year. They were literally the worst in 5 years. So they can't get any worse. So you put all that together, and even if you're conservative, Jeanty isn't a super. What's up, buddy? Jeanty isn't a superstar. He's just okay. He's serviceable. Okay, we didn't have a serviceable running back last year. Okay. Geno Smith is on par average with what he's done the last 3 seasons. That's a massive upgrade to what we've had. Pete Carroll, he's shown us who he is. Chip Kelly, he's shown us who he is. We can realistically say that they're going to be very good, if not great. That's massive. So with all the things that happened last season, we were still in 8 games heading into the fourth quarter. So I see that the win total is going to be a lot more than what people give us credit for.
So there's things, and this isn't us making excuses for last season, right? This is simply like, look, this is realistically what happened last season, and we were still in some close games and et cetera, right? There are a lot of things in football that are mathematically proven to be more random than like coached or skilled. And there's a lot of facets in football that have drastic effects on wins and losses that are pretty random. Like it's that's not an argument. Like it's been quantified over decades. Again, Bill Barnwell, best NFL writer at ESPN. There's no close second. He does 2 articles every season. He's like, here's 5 teams that I think are going to drop off from last season. Here's 5 teams that are going to improve from last season. Raiders is one of the teams to improve. And he touched on a lot of things that you said, right? Like there's the obvious, right? Like you said, Geno Smith over quarterbacks last season, Pete Carroll over AP. That's a no-brainer, right? And he put it really good. He's just like, the simplest way for a team to improve its record overnight is to upgrade the two most important positions, right? Quarterback and head coach. Like that by itself is already like, okay, we're getting a lot better. And then he goes into Geno specifically. Geno Smith, he had the second best off-target rate of any passer last season, just behind Joe Burrow. Smith ranked 5th in precise pass rate. The quarterbacks last season ranked 25th. Like already, just those numbers just drastically different, right? Jeanty, major upgrade at the weakest spot in the roster, like we talked about a million times. But here's like the numbers part that really gets that really sticks out the most, right? And I don't think it's a lot of things that people are talking about. It's so crazy how bad our turnover margin was last season. Like that's other than this podcast, like that's not really talked about a lot. Everyone's just like, oh, Minshew sucked. AP was in over his head. It's like, dude, we didn't get a fumble recovery till week 12. That doesn't happen. That's insane. That's winning the lottery 3 times. Like that's bonkers, right? We had a -16 mark, ranked 35th overall in turnover ratio. Like the Browns somehow overtook us late, right? We were by far the worst turnover margin in the NFL up until like 2 weeks till the end of the season. The Browns somehow took us over. So get this stat. Since 1999, adjusting for 17-game schedule, there have been 42 teams that posted a turnover margin in the -20 to -15 range. The following season, their turnover margin was collectively +2. So, yes, there's absolutely skills and coached elements and schemes in getting interceptions. Really good. There's players that are better at causing fumbles. That's certainly a thing. Recovering fumbles is 100% random. 100% random. If you have a terrible fumble recovery rate one season, it always improves the next season. If you have an insane fumble recovery rate one season, it always falls back the next season. Always. It's random. And so not only do we have all the problems that you mentioned, Soto, last season about things that we can control, who's our quarterback, who's our coach, who's our running backs, also the things we couldn't control was like the third worst in the last 4 decades. We just could not recover fumbles to save our ass.
It's definitely something that is a area of focus for Pete Carroll. He doesn't want stops. He wants the ball. And we've seen it. We've forced turnovers the first 2 preseason games, and it wasn't like it was a bunch of backups that were getting passes thrown into their laps. Both the Isaiah Polomau and the Jeremy Chin interceptions were very good reads and diving interceptions. So they're put in proper position and they're given the ability and the go ahead to be aggressive for the ball. So this is something that is taught, and we're gonna have. If we're a bad defense that gets a lot of turnovers, hell, that seems to work too.
There's no greater metric to decide wins and losses than turnover margin. That's the number. Like points is obviously number one, right? You score more points, you win. The other metric that decides wins and losses is turnover margin. And we were atrocious. A, in things we can't control, and B, things that are much more random. So just driving this, I know I'm beleaguering like a stat point, which doesn't make fun television, but I'm driving this home, and I don't care if we lose viewers because of it, because it's that important. So look at this one more time. Despite being coached by a former linebacker, the Raiders couldn't fall in the football to save their lives or their season. They picked up just 8 of 33 fumbles in their games, a recovery rate of 24.2%. Second worst mark for any team in any season going back to 1991. I was 8 years old. Since I was an 8-year-old booger eater, there's only been one team that had a worse fumble recovery rate than the Raiders.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's bonkers. And what's the number one metric for winning football games, if there is one? Turnover margin. And we were atrocious at it. So again, all this reason for optimism, A, in things we can control, things that we have done, and B, the parts of football that are a lot more random than coached or personneled or whatever the fuck.
For sure. And it's definitely, you need to do the little things on top of that. And it's just about being buttoned up and having the experience and knowing how to maximize the time that you do have with these players. And I think that what we're doing now is we're giving these guys better tools on how to watch film, more efficient use of the time while watching film. And we'll see. We saw an improvement in the offensive line in the run game and also in stopping the run from weeks 1 to week 2. We'll see, because that's really what you're looking at. If you think this secondary is going to be exactly the same as it is now as far as their play, no, they're going to get better or they're going to get worse. They're not going to stay this. It doesn't work that way. So we're looking, where are they trending? Let's see how they do next week or this next week coming up against the Cardinals, and see if they've cleaned up some of those holes that they have in the secondary.
So Bill Barnwell did a good job in illustrating like all the reasons why there's optimism, why there should be a big swing and win. I think we're going to double our win total from last season. I mean, that's not amazing, right? 4 wins to 8, but we should. He did bring up 2 points that we have also both talked about a lot. He mentioned 2 big factors that I think 2 biggest things we have to overcome. And we've talked about this. Raiders being stuffed with bad draft picks and ill-advised trades during the John Gruden and Josh McDaniel eras still apply. Like, that is still a big issue, right? Like, I think we've had back-to-back good drafts. We'll find out, in the future if they're really good drafts or not. But like, that doesn't make up for 10 seasons of like very poor personnel decisions. That doesn't get overcome in one season. It just doesn't, right? So that's definitely something that we have to worry about. And of course, AFC West. It's the best division in football. 3 playoff teams. 2 of those teams definitely improved. Like, the Broncos and Chargers only got better. And then the other team, who may not have gotten better, went to the Super Bowl. So that's just the reality. Is tough division. And again, we can't control that, so we're not going to belabor the point, but it's going to take some time to get to rejuice this roster after, 8 years of really, really, maybe even more, of really bad personnel decisions.
Going 3-3 in this division can really sharpen this team up to be a pretty tough out for anyone out of the division. Mm-hmm. Knowing you got to really step your game up and put your best foot forward from the first snap and every snap of the game. Yeah, it's going to be extremely important for us. I think that's going to be a big telling sign how we do in the division for how I don't see us doing poorly in the division, but doing really well, outside of the division. I'm not talking about, well, yeah, of course, if you don't do well in the division, that's less wins and blah, blah, blah. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about us going, 2-4 or 1-5 in the division, but being like, 1-10 or whatever out of the division. Like, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be with a tough division. If we go 3-3, I can see us definitely going, 7-4. Is that it? 7-4? Yeah.
The non-division schedule is not. It's
not
pretty
crazy.
Good. Like it's not. It's easier than average. It's not easy, but it's easier than average, right? Like especially for the Raiders. Like, there's not a lot of like cold games. There's Eagles in December, which is just gonna fucking suck. But other than
one thing that's kind of funky that we haven't really talked about is we don't have a lot of the standard 1:00 games. We have a lot of 10 a.m. games, and we have like the Monday Night Football Thursday night. So we have a lot of games that are like we don't really have a rhythm, to where we're always. I mean, there was one year I think when Pittsburgh went to the playoffs, like every one of their games was a 10 a.m. Eastern, like a 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern start game. So they were very consistent, and they didn't have to worry about changing the routine. But you take a look at our schedule, and it's, first game is 10 a.m., next game is Monday Night Football, and then the next game is 10 a.m. And it's another East Coast game and then the next game after that is 10 a.m. I think or something. It's something weird. So we gotta take a look at. There's a lot of factors that go into these things, but ultimately, I think Pete Carroll's going to have these guys ready to rock no matter what time.
Ready to do some what up Windbags?
Yeah, man, let's get to it.
Jeremiah Rose, 4681. This is in response to the last show where you saw Antonio Pearson, Chiefs gear over there. Do you remember when Art Shell was coaching the O-line for the Queefs? Now, that was disgusting to see him on their sidelines. Or everyone remembers a certain running back going to the Queefs before the Al Davis feud. AP, was he really a Raider? Soto?
Well, he was, but more so than a Raider, he was a part of Raider Nation from when he was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whatever.
Never get like overly riled up whenever we sign a new player or a coach or whoever, and they're like, "Oh, I love the Raiders. Like I was a Raider fan, like blah 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 blah." It's like this is number one a job for these guys, right? AP's got some lawsuits going against him. Like he needs some work. the guy can't just take travel for a year while he's recovering, from being a failure of a head coach. Like the guy needs some paychecks.
He's got some open cases.
And again, they're still humans. Like they'll still like a job over another job, and they'll like relationships in some organizations over relationships in other organizations. Like, that's still there, right? But there's two things that players in the NFL care about. Number two is that their buddies get paid, and number one, it's that they get paid. Whatever number three is, it is a Grand Canyon of space before you get to number three. Just keep that in mind. Boogie's Moolah, 55.9. The algorithm is tripping. Hasn't been showing me your vids. Guys, sound off. And that's like the third time we've gotten a message like that. Explain if that's happening. Why? Because that's kind of weird. Because our numbers have been down lately, and I don't know why. I don't know if like you guys are just not getting algorithmed, or I'm just uglier and people don't want to see me.
The big fix to that, easy fix. Hit your notifications.
Little easy bell fix. In the corner.
Boop. Hit that notification button, and you will get a push notification to your phone whenever we drop a video. Easy.
At Westwood, no respect to Parsons. He's no Mack or Maxx. Parsons can't stop the run, and both Mack and Maxx were/are the very best in the league against the run, as well as obviously great pass rushers. I'm not paying the Mack price for Parsons. Stopping the run is too important. Wes would have a point here, Soto.
No.
Okay.
If you do well, if what you do well is at a level to a Micah Parsons or a Trey Hendrickson, yes, you do pay them because they're that good. Especially if you're young and you're dynamic and you can do a lot more, because you can get better. You can always get better at certain things. But you're working with a starting point of an elite level trait that is probably one of the most sought after traits in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. When you have a Micah Parsons or even like a Trey Hendrickson, like, okay, let's say, okay, so they're not arguably two of the best defensive ends against the run ever in Maxx and Mack. Okay. Like, okay, so they're not two of the, like the last decade, all around best defensive ends in football. Okay. Sue them, right? You have to, as a defensive end, drastically alter what you're doing for Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons. I'm throwing Trey into the conversation because we were talking about him earlier. Like, you stay up at night figuring out, what am I going to do to Parsons? How am I going to get around Parsons? How do I have to, do I have to triple team him, or can I get away with a double team? Do I have to go always to the other side run to the other side, or shift protection to him every time? Or can I be kind of equal? Like, it drives them nuts. And when you're that good, everything that the offensive coordinator is doing is trying to stop them. The quarterback will not say hike until he sees Micah Parsons and tries to read what he's doing. Like that amount of influence. Okay, so maybe his run stuffing solo tackles aren't up to par as much. But like to be a nightmare for an offensive coordinator bleeds through every facet of the defense. And it doesn't show up in stats, but it's undeniably crucial.
There are certain things that teams want to do, but a lot of times they change what they're trying to do because they have to account for a specific player. And those players are special. When you have to account for a player and that player changes what the offense does by their alignment, that's a special player. And you win with special players.
I will acquiesce. I will capitulate. Micah Parsons, not as good of a run stopper as Khalil Mack or Maxx Crosby. Okay. Yeah. So this chick who's got double D's, beautiful ass, 105 pounds, and makes $500,000 a year, she's kind of got knobby knees. I'm still going for it.
She has a unibrow.
Yeah. She has poor posture. My number one pet peeve. Actually, that one might make me stop. I'm fucked up right now. All right, that's it for us. I will be in the air this weekend for the preseason game, so there won't be a post-game show here, but Soto got you covered at Raiders versus the World if you want to go watch the live post-game show, and then it's next week.
Oh, shit.
And it's
hang on a second.
Uh-oh. Special guest?
No. What the fuck? What the heck have I been doing? There we go. Raiders versus the World.
Like, wait a minute, who is this guy?
Oh God.
So he's got you covered when I'm on the road, and then next week's show is the last show before it's a game week show.
Yeah, man, it's getting there.
It's great.
It's like a baby coming, whether you want it to come or not. The due date's coming.
I'm getting excited. All right, boys. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Well, look at you making it to the end of this video. You look like you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you really love it, go ahead and subscribe.